In Houston, Texas, famed for aerospace and medical research, on October 20th, 1972, 2,900 people filled Houston's famous Jones Hall to hear another pioneer of human knowledge, Maharishi Mahesh Yogi, founder of the science of creative intelligence.
Science of creative intelligence. Systematic study of creative intelligence. It's a very beautiful knowledge about the fundamental value of life. Just as the knowledge of the sap, it is the sap which becomes the stem and the leaf and the flower, the red and green, various forms and shapes it takes. But it in itself is unmanifest. The sap is neither flat nor round, nor green nor red. No qualities. That qualityless material, unmanifest sap, is the basis of all these manifestations, different expressions. Like this, intelligence, pure intelligence, is the basis of all expressed values in creation. How do we know it? On the basis of common sense and also on the basis of special sense, direct experience, on both. On the level of common sense, we infer that there is something behind all that we experience in creation. Our experience around us is that everything is growing. Trees, animals, birds, man. There is growth everywhere. Everything has physical structure, but deep within the physical, there must be something. We are postulating. There must be something which causes change and causes progress through change, and that we can intelligently say must be intelligence, for the simple reason that we see order in creation. Whereas there is change, everywhere there is change and progress through change, growth through change, there is also order in change. This orderly aspect of existence has a name of intelligence. Is some intelligence working at every level of existence, be it finer particles or molecular level or electronic level, or any level of their layers of existence, fine and gross. But there is some order in the sequence of progression of life. This order is maintained by what we may attribute to intelligence. Existence has its value in growth. Everything that exists grows. Growth is brought about by intelligence. So existence and intelligence go simultaneously. They may be analyzed as two values, but existing together. Existence is not devoid of intelligence, but certainly it has a different characteristic of its own. So pure existence and pure intelligence These are the fundamental values of creation, and it is these by virtue of which everything is progressing. What is commonly taught in education? Mostly physical values. Physics concerns itself with the physical value. Chemistry, again physical relationship. Astronomy, again physical values. What is missing in this kind of knowledge is the study of intelligence, which is more basic to the physical quality of life. The intelligence, which is more basic to the physical structure of life, must be studied simultaneously along with the study of the physical values. All the different branches of learning dedicated to bring up the knowledge of the physical aspect of life. Science is famous for its objective ways of investigation because it deals with objectivity. Subjectivity, it does not take into account. Intelligence is the aspect of subjectivity. And when we have made so much of progress in technology through all these researches on the physical level of life, what will be the great advantage to civilization and progress when a systematic study of intelligence is available? This is the great promise of the science of creative intelligence. It studies that fundamental value of life and locates all the principles that are involved in the development of the qualities of creative intelligence. There is that field of sap, and then there is process of the sap becoming a leaf, a stem, green, red, tender, petal. Sap. And its transformation into different values. Like that, pure intelligence and its transformation into progressive values of creativity. What we find, just as we see the layers of existence making creation, every layer and between the subsequent layers has that which we say intelligence, by virtue of it the existence of that is maintained and its progressive values, progressive mechanics of progress are carried on. So the systematic study of creative intelligence gives us or brings to light the pure nature of creative intelligence and its application in daily life. Now coming on directly to individual man's life, where is the seat of creative intelligence? In the case of a plant, we can say the sap. And sap is beyond the green, but it's even on the surface of the green, because every fiber of it is nothing but sap. So sap is hidden from view and its expressed value is open to view. Same way, intelligence is found functioning underneath the phenomenon, even though it is responsible for the surface value of phenomenon as well. It is something which is pervading life. Such an aspect of existence which is permeating everywhere, which is basic to life, must be brought to our notice, and the result will be that being familiar with the fundamental value of life, we will be able to handle all its expressions, all its manifestations, all different fields of behavior and field of health and education and behavior, all these various aspects of life, they are just the expressions of the creative intelligence which is unexpressed, like the sap. So science of creative intelligence offers a systematic study and not only theoretical study, not only theoretical knowledge, but also direct experience of the pure nature of creative intelligence and direct experience of the mechanics of how it spreads out into the outer field of activity. From the unmanifest pure field, how creative intelligence expresses itself into action, into behavior. And this study, that is knowledge and the experience of pure intelligence, makes our mind more fully alive. This is the practical benefit of it. Once we know what it is, once we have experienced how it is, and we know how it develops into daily life, then we can draw more and more of it and use more and more of it in daily life in a spontaneous manner. Something that is out of sight, if it comes to our awareness, then it's possible to draw from there at will. And if we know the mechanics, it may be possible to keep on drawing even without making effort to draw. This is the great practical value that this study of science of creative intelligence offers. The whole thing is very simple because intelligence is the intimate aspect of our life. It is the essential content of life. It is the basic value of life. And knowing it, being aware of it, we are able to make use of it in abundance. All that the man's life today as ever is in need of that knowledge of the fundamental value of life. Anyone who knows how to operate on the level of the sap can provide a particular fertilizer at the root and create maybe some white lines on the green leaves or yellow lines on the pinky petals. One has just to know how to operate on the level of the sap. Mastery on the level of sap is enough to produce a yellow rose, maybe half petal yellow and half pink and half red. Any amount of modifications will be possible on the surface, expressed value of the sap, if we know how to operate on the level of sap. If we become aware of the pure field of creative intelligence, just because everything in life is the expression of creative intelligence, we will be able to modify, improve upon any phase of life at will. The whole procedure is very simple and is available to all the people. There is a proverb in our movement, anyone who can, a truth, anyone who can think can meditate. Transcendental meditation depends on the ability to think, and hardly there would be any man who can't think. Just that ability to think. Because the process of development of thought from its source till it comes to speech and translates into action, all this development of thought gives us a path to arrive at the source of thought, which we can say the fountainhead of creative intelligence. It's obvious. All that we display in our action, all creativity that we display in our action comes from thought. It is the thought that develops into action. Thought has its own origin. Everyone experiences. From somewhere within us the thought arises. Whatever area is the origin of thought within, that is the fountainhead from where the currents of creativity rises. Thought is the current of creativity. So from wherever the thoughts arise, that's the source of creative intelligence. Transcendental meditation is a technique whereby we can guide our attention in the reverse order. The thought arises from within, and we can grab the thought on the conscious thinking level and then go back on the same channel through which it is coming up. And transcendental meditation is that simple technique whereby very naturally our awareness goes deep and goes beyond the thought. It experiences finite states of thought, and experiencing the finite state of thought, it transcends the field of thought, and attention becomes pure awareness. Conscious mind, leaving off the experience of thought, becomes consciousness. And that consciousness is unboundedness of awareness, pure awareness, unboundedness. This is the field of pure creative intelligence. Pure, we say, because it is in its unmanifest state. In its unmanifest. The moment the thought sprouts, creative intelligence has started to manifest. It started to express itself. So, transcendental meditation is a process in the inwards direction of thinking. It starts to experience the thought in its final state, achieves that unmanifest value of consciousness or field of pure intelligence or field of pure existence where there are no boundaries. It's boundless existence, unbounded awareness, pure, inner wakefulness. And with this experience, there is what gets built in the conscious mind is a wide angle lens, we can say. A wide angle which takes in larger area. So that awareness which can comprehend a bigger horizon, that quality of mind which does not lose wide-angle vision when it concentrates on the boundaries of activity. This is valuable to life. All weaknesses arise from not developing that wide-angle lens in our awareness. And to develop that is so simple, so easy, because transcendental meditation does not take anything outside of life. It only uses the nature of the mind. The nature of the mind is to go to a field of greater happiness. All the streams of mind are in the direction of greater happiness, greater happiness. Deep within the source of thought is that unbounded awareness, unbounded consciousness. Its nature is bliss. This bliss consciousness is the goal of all the streams of activity, is the goal of all the channels of activity. Wherever one goes, whatever one does, it is in the direction of greater happiness. Always. Progress is in the direction of more and more, in the direction of greater happiness. And deep at the source of thought is the unbounded bliss consciousness. And therefore, mind takes that direction spontaneously, not through practice. I am emphasizing the effortless nature of transcendental meditation. It's not the practice of taking that direction that succeeds, not the practice, but the very nature of the mind to move in the direction of greater happiness takes the mind spontaneously, completely, effortlessly, and gives it that status of unbounded awareness. This is because the very nature of life is progressive in the direction of more and more, and this unboundedness is more than the most. The simple technique of naturally bringing the awareness to that unbounded field of life succeeds in maintaining that unboundedness. For this, the practice is needed. The practice is not needed to reach the goal. Practice is needed to drag the goal out of the transcendental area to the area of activity. And that is why we meditate morning and evening, and then put ourselves to activity, and again repeat the experience morning and evening, and again repeat the experience of activity. So activity and meditation alternated. This practice establishes permanent state of unbounded awareness no matter what one is doing then. And this is the state of life that everyone has to lead now with this knowledge. All those successful people, take an example of an artist and of an architect. When he sits on the table, his mind has to incorporate so many different items. What materials are available in the market, what is the site, structure has to suit the background of the hills or the plains or this, what is the wind pressure here, and if there are earthquakes, what shocks, what strength. Innumerable aspects he has to take into account, and then considering all that, when he comprehends so many different values, delightfully he says, this should be the structure, this way, this way, this way. A calm, collected, and therefore comprehensive state of mind can take in all together so many various aspects and produce a harmony of all these aspects. All these various aspects bring out together, combined in a beautiful project. But if his mind is not able to comprehend the whole thing, he'll be making something beautiful and losing something beautiful somewhere, here, there. Life is a composite of innumerable diversities. Every man has so many phases of his activity, so many points of love, so many areas of happiness, relations, innumerable, and every aspect has to be first class. It can't be done on the basis of thinking and planning for every area. No. That awareness has to be cultivated, which is at home with everything. And that is that unbounded awareness which knows no restrictions and which promotes the ability of focusing very penetratingly on any point one attends. This is the knowledge that had been lacking, and now it's available by the grace of my Master. It's all his teaching. It's taught in his name. There's a tradition of this knowledge. We only think ourselves as the loudspeakers of that great tradition. It's the knowledge of the fundamental value of life, how we can handle something which is within us and something which is at the basis of all our activities of thought and action. That something is hidden from our view through a natural procedure. We open our awareness to that and thereby enrich all our aspirations, all our activities. It's worthwhile spending 5, 10 minutes, 15 minutes on this morning and evening. As long as it was not known, it was not known. But now it's known, it is verified, substantiated by scientific experiments. We know this is the scientific age that we have produced, and anything that we want to verify, we use these objective means of verification. So when the scientists have proved that it does good to health, over and above this, those who meditate do experience some exaltation in life, some refinement of aspirations, thought become more orderly. The action spontaneously takes a right direction. Right means the direction in which it will be fulfilled and not waste time on resistances here and there and there. So these values, when they have been found to be growing spontaneously with this practice, and then now objectively verified by scientific experiments, we don't have any doubts about it. And it is this confirmation of the practical benefits in daily life through this knowledge that is at the basis of our aspiration to make this knowledge available to all the people in the world as soon as possible. I invite all the men of goodwill throughout the world to do as much as they can to propagate this knowledge in their areas. Because when the leaders of the community or successful people in the area begin to talk about a thing, other people like to follow. So it's in the hands of the successful people in each area now to bring this knowledge to all the people, and the result will be they will not be required to witness any suffering around them. Suffering abides in weakness. That's all there is to it. Be it of any kind of suffering, indicates weakness in the person, whether it's emotional weakness or intellectual weakness, or weakness of health, weakness of anything. Any weakness is the cause of suffering. In this practice, when the awareness is widened, the resistance to unfoldment of pure consciousness, these resistances, they disappear. The resistance to unfoldment of pure consciousness is like the clouds hiding the sun. The sun is shining, it's there, only due to the clouds. The barrier comes in between us and the sun, and we fail to see it. Pure consciousness is there, pure intelligence is there, it's there already, it doesn't have to be cultivated. Only the resistance is for its cognition, the resistance for its full utilization in the daily life. Those resistances have to go, and these resistances are stresses and strains. During meditation, as the mental activity becomes more refined, breathing becomes more refined, and with this metabolic rate becomes more refined, becomes less and less. The whole system receives deep rest. This deep rest automatically eliminates stresses and strains. So when the mind is opening to that unbounded pure awareness, the field of pure intelligence, simultaneously the body is losing stresses and strains, and thereby the clouds that were hindering the full use of inner creative intelligence in action, they begin to wither away. The system becomes purer, body becomes purer, mind becomes purer. Clearer thinking is the direct result from this practice.